Someone does tell us that the biggest threat to the United States isn't happening with missiles, tanks, or warships, but with money, its own money. Is it ridiculous? Right now, the world is watching what appears to be a military crisis in one of the most important locations on Earth. The Strait of Hormuz. We see ships stranded or on fire. We hear about tensions. We see headlines about conflict. But what if that's just the distraction, and behind all of that lies a hidden economic move that could change the global power structure forever? And yet, almost nobody is talking about it. Let Clara explain. While the world is focused on military tensions, a theory is circulating that something much bigger is happening behind closed doors. A quiet economic strategy. A potential ultimatum. The idea is simple but extremely powerful. What if oil passing through the most important choke point on Earth stopped being traded in US dollars and started being traded in Chinese yuan instead? That's not just a trade change. That's a direct challenge to the foundation of American power. Now, to understand why this is such a big deal, we need to look at what everyone thinks is happening. The mainstream story is chaos. Rising tensions. Military threats. The Strait of Hormuz is turning into a global flashpoint. This narrow strip of water is one of the most critical energy routes on the planet. A massive percentage, 20%, of the world's oil flows through it. So when anything happens there, the entire global economy feels it. Oil prices spike. Shipping routes panic. Countries start preparing for worst-case scenarios. That's the visible story. That's what everyone sees. But here's where things get interesting. Because behind that chaos, there's a completely different game being imagined. A smarter move. Instead of shutting down oil completely, put it under control. Not a full blockade. Install a filter there instead. Some ships can pass but others cannot. And the deciding factor isn't military power, but its currency used to settle the oil deals. Think about that. Instead of saying, no one gets through and blocking the strait completely, someone says, you can pass, but only if you play by new rules. And those rules could involve how oil is bought and paid for. Now suddenly, it isn't just about geography anymore. It's about financial control. And that is where the idea becomes explosive. Because the entire global system right now is built on something called the petrodollar. And this is the part nobody tells you. Back in the 1970s, the US made one of the most important deals in modern history. After the dollar was taken off gold, America needed something to back its value. So it turned into oil. A deal was made with Saudi Arabia. Oil would be sold only in US dollars. And in return, the US would provide protection. That single agreement changed everything. Because now, every country that needed oil needed dollars first. That created constant global demand for US currency. US toilet paper became golden coils. Deceased US presidents on the green bills were more powerful than most monarchs on Earth. It gave the US massive financial power. It allowed America to run huge deficits. To borrow endlessly. To dominate global finance. All because the world needed dollars to function. Now imagine if that rule disappears. Or even changes slightly. If oil starts being traded in another currency, say the euro, RMB, yen, or pound, that demand for dollars weakens. And that's where this entire theory points. Because for countries like Iran, the dollar isn't just currency. It's a lethal weapon. It means sanctions. It imposes restrictions. It leads to financial isolation. So creating a system outside of the dollar is existential. Survival. And for China, it is the opportunity of a lifetime. As the world's largest oil importer, it has to use US dollars to buy energy. That creates dependence. Risk. Vulnerability. So China has been quietly building alternatives. Like its own payment system. And pushing for more trade in yuan. Now imagine combining those two forces. A country that wants out of the dollar system, Iran, and a superpower that wants to smash the dollar hegemony, China, are suddenly on the same page. That's where things start to shift. And then there's the rest of the world. Countries are watching closely, especially in the global south. Because for many of them, the dollar system isn't stability. It's pressure. When the US raises rates, their economies suffer. When sanctions are used against them, not only do their economies suffer, but everything suffers. They take notice. So the idea of an alternative is appealing. Let's talk about how something like this could actually work. Because this isn't just theory. It's a strategy. Step 1. Control access. Not a total shutdown. Selective permission. Some ships get through. Others don't. Step 2. Verification. Proof of how oil was purchased. Which system was used? Which currency? Step 3. Geography. The Strait of Hormuz is incredibly narrow. That makes it easy to monitor. Easy to control. And here's the real pressure point. Most of the oil flowing through that strait is going to Asia. Not the United States. That means the countries most affected are the ones that rely on that supply the most. So now they face a choice. Stick with the dollar and risk disruption. Or adapt and secure energy. If that shift starts happening, even slowly, the effects could be massive. In the short run, market chaos, oil volatility, and shipping uncertainty are inevitable. Gradually, countries start holding more yuan. Less reliance on dollars. Incremental change in global reserves. In the long run, a completely different financial world. Where the US dollar is no longer dominant. Where power is split. Where influence is shared. And that changes everything. From interest rates to global trade, and then to geopolitical power. However, it isn't something that happens overnight, as we said in yesterday's video. The dollar system is incredibly strong. Deeply rooted. Hard to replace. But every major shift in history starts small. Quiet. Stealthily. Almost invisible. Not with explosions. But with agreements. Not with wars. But with strategy. So the real question is this. Is the world slowly moving away from the dollar? Or is this just another theory that never materializes? Because if even part of this becomes real, we could be witnessing the beginning of one of the biggest power shifts in modern history.